Hello, comrades. Welcome back to the Hideout. Today, I will be helping out a client on how he can invest his grade 6 Beckett 1999 Pokemon base set Shadowless Venusaur. We're going to go over the questions that he will like to know and how I can recommend him to best position himself in investing this card. Let's look over what my client would like to know about this Shadowless Venusaur. He would like to know the history of it, which this card has its history, and he would like to know fair value, like how much was it being sold for at a grade 6? And we'll discuss of how many cards were sold, specifically with the Shadowless Venusaur, and the differences between grades, specifically with the 6 and 10. More importantly, he would like to know if he can make a profit out of it. Let's discuss the history behind the Shadowless Venusaur. One thing that this card has as value is the fact that this is considered the second print from the base set. Now, what I mean by is that the first prints were the Shadowless cards, which they have more value because Wizards of the Coast don't make them anymore, and also they were made before the unlimited cards that had the shadow border around the Pokemon frame. So this card is pretty significant. Now, if you would have got a higher grade, then this card will be a real high value. But it isn't. But it's not nothing, it's something. And we can look over that with the data that I collected. Now, what's significant about these Shadowless cards, or not Shadowless cards, I'm sorry, with these cards that were made from Wizards of the Coast, only 6 of them had the stamp of the Wizards imprint on the bottom of the card, which you see below right here. And the only 6 were from the base set, Jungle, Fossil, Team Rocket, Gym Heroes, and Gym Challenge. So this could bring the value of the card because it has the Wizard print on it. Anything after the Gym Challenge, it does not have the Wizard's print, which I found out about that last week, which I find that fascinating because there was actually a total, I believe, 10 sets that were made from the Wizard of the Coast. After the 10 sets, the first 10, Pokemon the company started making the Pokemon cards. Here's what I recommend to my client. I should suggest him to hold on to this card for a little bit longer. And that's because that from what I found, the card was sold for about $275, which is not nothing, but I don't think that he's looking for that amount to be sold for. I think he was looking for at a higher amount. So that's why I suggest him for my first strategy is to hold it for long term. Just the fact it was a grade 6. And you know what? This could increase its value in the long run because you know what? I thought about this. If baseball cards were made so long ago and they stopped printing them, but they still have value behind it that they go for thousands of dollars, then you know what? Maybe it will hold true for Pokemon cards. Now, my second strategy is that if we do face a market crash this year in 2022, then he can, you know what, have the opportunities to sell it. That's only if it's the above average of what was sold last year, which has to be $275. And that's because that if you guys remember, when we've had the pandemic in 2020, people were in quarantine. They had nothing to do, so they started cleaning out their closets and you know what? They found their collections and they thought they can make a profit out of them. And then you have to add on to that when you got influencers such as Leonhard and PokeRev of them unpacking Pokemon cards and trying to find the rarest cards, which it kind of built up the hype. Now, on top of that, you got the Pokemon anniversary, their 25th anniversaries, which was a big deal in the new games that they launched. So it was a whole snowball effect that the value of these Pokemon cards increased. It spiked tremendously. You can actually look it up in PSA's website. They show you a graph of the value of each card, and when it hit the year of March 2020, you see a huge spike. So I'm predicting that this card might go high in value if there was a market crash. And also recommend him to sell it through PWCC. PWCC is equivalent to eBay, except they only sell collectible cards, like Pokemon, baseball cards, basketball, but they need to be appraised from a sports authenticator like Beckett, PSA, CGC, and other sports authenticators. And what's interesting about PWCC, you actually get some commission based off your sales, a percentage of it, which I'll provide a link. And also, I think what PWCC does really well is that you're less likely to be scammed compared to eBay. You see, you're actually sending your cards to the headquarters, and what they do is they actually take pictures of it of the card, and they actually set up the auctions for you. They list everything for you. And what's cool about it that they have a vault that you can, store your cards in, but they need to be above. I think it's like $200 of value in order to store for free, from what I read so far in PWCC's website. So this could be an opportunity to have this client to sell his cards through PWCC instead of eBay. Over the limitations of the data that I collected. Now, there were a lot of cards that were graded from PSA. Now, I will show you why that if you grade your card from PSA, it does not mean they carry more value. So that's what I want to be clear with you first. There are just a bunch of cards that were graded, and I think the reason why is I think PSA is the only brand of sports authenticator that is marketing so well that you have a lot of new collectors coming in and they're sending their cards to PSA. Beckett, on the other hand, they're not marketing their brand as well, but they do, or they're actually known for to, you know, grading cards at a higher level and they have more value. But that just depends on the card itself. So that's a limitation that I have so far. Now, also another thing. So the cards that were sold from PWCC, they were actually in eBay's sold listings as well. Now, if you guys remember, if you guys are hardcore collectors, PWCC used to sell their cards through eBay until recently, or maybe last year, they actually got kicked out. And eBay was accusing them of chill bidding cards. There hasn't been any evidence yet that PWCC did that, or I haven't heard any legal action and outcomes yet. So that is yet to be seen. We see there was a total amount of transactions of 245 of this card for both platforms. And we see that a lot of people were selling it through an auction compared to a fixed price. And if you do sell an auction, it will you want to get a total of average bids of 23, not bidders, bids or more, because that will actually tell you that hey, there could be a high demand for this card. Now let's see how this card was sold for at a grade 6. Now I only found one card sold from eBay at a grade 6 from BGS, which that's what he has. And then compared to PCA, there was 300 no, not 300, 20 transactions. So you can argue that this card could carry a higher value if it was graded for PCA. But for hardcore collectors, the general consensus that BGS carries a higher value. So that's what I've seen so far. Now let's see. Now let's see this um, at this grade compared to a 10. Big difference right here. About 3,300 that was sold for. And was sold through at an auction compared to a fixed price. Sold more in an auction. And let's see how it performed on a quarter-to-quarter basis. Now, this is the reason why I was suggesting to sell it through PWCC, because you see, in the average value of $1,000, you will see cards that were sold through PWCC at a higher value compared to eBay. So let's see how it performed month-to-month basis. You see a spike in February and a little bit in April, and you know what? This could suggest that he could sell it in those times. But we go by current market basis. This is just an observation or give us a strategy of how we can sell this card. Now, the difference between the sports authenticator, you see a lot of cards that were graded from PSA, which is a total of 46 transactions compared to BGS 5, CGC 4. So that yes, PCA could carry a lot more value, and PCA does really well in marketing a brand to get new collectors in grading from them. Now, again, it's similar to the way how this graph works. We see a peak in February and a little bit in April, but this is only for PCA. Now, like I said, my first strategy I would suggest him is to hold it for a little longer because it may increase its value over time. And also, I don't have enough data that was sold at a grade 6 since I only found one. Now, if there was a market crash, coming this year between April and March. We don't know yet. I was suggested to sell through best offer since it's at a grade 6. And here's why. So if we look at PCA, cards are grade 6, about 27% was sold for fixed price or best offer compared to auction at 23%. Now, how he can make this lucrative? He will probably have to list his card for $200. Now, this wouldn't make sense because he had to grade this card for $200. But if you want to have competing buyers, you want to make it a little bit more lucrative. So it would have to be lower than $275 or $314. That's for him to decide. Now, I hope this was helpful for my client and also for all of you. If you would like to ask me more questions about this card, you can contact me through my Instagram called Pokemon_CS Hideout. Or if you want to know anything about other cards as well, you can contact me through Instagram as well. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you again, comrades.